Hey, good morning. I had a very interesting experience yesterday. So, I got in contact with my first OIC from the SEAL teams. We hadn't talked. We hadn't talked in 40 years. You think 30 years at least, right? And uh, and so he caught my video talking about understanding Paleo Hebrew and the symbolism and the temple, and it was a pretty deep conversation. And then I'm trying to get across, and the challenge is getting across why that's important. And it's like the dead letter versus the spiritual, which is really the understanding of the symbolism in the Paleo Hebrew that you're reading, right? So when you go through the temple process and you don't have that understanding, then what you got is the priest at the in the outer court is the butcher and cooking barbecue, okay? And then he goes to the brazen laver and he cleans himself up, changes his clothes, goes in the temple, and now he eats some bread at the table of showbread. And then he goes and lights some incense at the table at the altar of incense. And then he goes and lights a lamp at the menorah. And then he goes through the second veil into the Holy Holies, and he cleans himself up again at there's a brazen laver in there, and then he looks at some artifacts, the broken tablet from the first time Moses went up to Mount Sinai, and the manna that God gave for food for the Israelites while they were in the desert, and the staff of authority. And then he goes over and lights another candle. That's what that's what it sounds like when you don't know. Okay. Now, when you understand, okay, that the altar sacrifice, that's dealing with any ought you have against anybody, shutting that down, giving forgiveness, forgiving yourself, for any sins you've committed, or and then you go to the brazen laver, and that's where you check yourself. If I got it, am I clean? Then you go in, and the table of showbread is more, that represents the 66 books of the Bible, right? The more learning, more, teaching, right? And then the altar of incense, that's like a mastermind where you got, guys that have experience and understand, what's going on there, and they're teaching, they're sharing their knowledge with you. And then when you go to the menorah, that represents basically direct mentorship from the high priest or subject matter expert. Then you go through the veil, you check yourself again, there's the brazen laver, you're making sure you're still, got control of your thoughts, right? You got no issues, guilt, or harboring anything against anybody, right? And then you go to the Ark of the Covenant. All right. And the manna, that's just more teaching. It's more moral teaching. And then the broken tablet, that's the 613 laws of Moses. All right, translated to Paleo Hebrew, and what you get when you get that is, God wants to lead us. He wants to open the door for us, carry us through the door. He wants to mentor us. He wants to guide us. He wants to teach us. He wants to steer us straight. These are all how that translates, right? And then you go to the second menorah, right? And that's that download from God Himself. That's the spiritual, connection, right? And now you look back into the whole temple, and you're the director, man. You're the one. You're the CEO. You're the one that's making sure all the other priests that are running each different station is doing their job the way they're supposed to, and they're teaching it right. And that's what you get. All right. Have a great day.